Like that. I feel like I'm getting with it. Hi, how is everyone doing so far today? Good? I'm great. I like this crowd. They're nice and lively and loud. Are we going to do that whole like right side, left side thing? Thank you so much for coming here today. You guys are about to be wowed. This is a competition when we're going to listen to the 5 presentations. And as we go through them, the winner going to get $5,000. Ooh. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Now, as we get through this is your opportunity to learn a little bit more with these 5 young innovators. They are developing solutions for challenges that we face today, some challenges that we don't even know that we're going to be facing in the future. So this is ahead of the curve. And we've got to introduce you to our judges as we get them up on the stage. They are going to be judging on a few different categories: market viability, creativity, pitch presentation, and again, whichever finalist has the highest score will win that $5,000 prize. So let's introduce you to our 4 judges. One of them was just on the stage moments ago, if you were here for the earlier session. CEO and co-founder of Minhas Breweries, we have Manjeet Minhas.
Good luck.
We also have from Rogers, the SVP of Enterprise Marketing, Naila Ahmed. Naila. We also have from IBM Canada, Vice President Beth Bell. And from SFU, VP of Innovation, Joy Johnson. So what do you say? Should we get to the pitches already? Should we get to the all the innovations? Let's get there. Yeah, let's do it. So our first presenter, she is a grade 10 student from Prince Rupert who is creating an innovative solution for capturing renewable energy from an unexpected source. Please welcome Alea to the stage. Alea?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have this opportunity today to share with you an exciting innovation that I've been working on for the past 3 years. What if I told you that we could set up a system that would allow us to harvest electricity from bacteria? Well, the process is called microbial film power generation, and it works like this. Okay, basically 2 graphite plates are inserted into the soil, one at surface level and one below surface level where there's no oxygen. Between these 2 plates, billions of bacteria are doing what bacteria do best. They're decomposing the organic matter. Now let me explain a bit more about what's actually happening in terms of the chemistry. When microbes decompose, they actually produce energized electrons. Now in this case, I'm using graphite plates to capture these electrons and put them to use. So because the bottom plate has no oxygen, the electrons don't react and form water. Instead, they can be captured. In this case, they're being captured and put to use in low-powered devices and or to charge a battery. So let me talk to you about the second year of my research. In the second year of my R&D, I decided to switch out some things. So basically, I switched out the solid graphite plates for graphite felt, and I produced 38 times more power using this material. I also found out that with a continuous load, the system can actually charge an object for 2 days. At 2 days, the system fully exhausts, but what I also found out is that if you take it apart and just leave it for 1 day, it can actually naturally recharge, which is super interesting. So this here is a picture of my setup. As you can see, it looks quite simple and straightforward. It's so simple, in fact, that you could just set it up in your backyard. Now, I specifically, though, was setting this up with a different goal in mind, for scientific data collection. For example, under forest canopy or on the ocean floor where there's little light, this system could be extremely useful. This is just a little video of the potential it has. Basically, using 3 buckets of earth, 3 buckets of muskeg, I was able to power a buzzer. So I think that microbial film power generation has a really big future in terms of environmental science. I think that it has a great place next to its relatives, solar energy, wind energy, and hydroelectric power. A novel use for this might be to put it and take the concept and apply it to sewage treatment plants where there's fermentation happening constantly and therefore lots of energy to be collected. Thank you so much. I now open the floor to questions.
Great. That was a fabulous presentation. Thank you very much. I'm just wondering if you could give us an example of something that you have powered with this type of energy.
Okay, great. So what I've powered successfully is a calculator, a buzzer, and an LED. These are just 3 low-powered devices that I was able to run, but the potential there's so much more potential with this project, I think. But really, this is for taking the weight off using fossil fuels for low-powered devices and instead using this. And really, as I said, it's also for data collection, I would say. Yeah.
And ultimately, how do you think this could be scaled up?
Well, I definitely think that, as I said, fossil fuels are being used to run low-powered devices when we could be using microbial film power generation instead. Also, as I was talking about the waste and like sewage treatment plants, this is all our waste, and there's so much energy that could be collected from that. So if I were to scale it up, I would say, let's stick a whole bunch of graphite in a sewage treatment plant and collect a whole bunch of energy.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alea. Thank you so much. Do you have any more questions? Judges? No, we're good. Alea, thank you so much. That was fantastic. We'll have you take a seat. And we'll get ready for our next presenter. We have Mac Dykman. She's a grade 8 student from Langley who is creating an innovative solution for reducing stress in chick shipments. I see you have something to put on the table as well, so take it away, Mac.
Did you know that since 1918, over 100 years, day-old chicks have been sent through postal delivery and flown by plane? That is able to happen because when chicks hatch, they have a yolk sac in their abdomen that provides the chicks with all the nutrients they need to sustain themselves for the first 3 days of life. Hello, my name is Mac, and this is my project, Safer Chickments. I designed a safer shipping container for day-old chicks. I'm a poultry farmer and a poultry forage member. Through my experience as a farmer, I observed shipments of chicks that arrive with significant losses and injuries. As a result, I identified a need to examine what could be done to improve chick shipments. Through my research, the current industry mortality rate is reported as being up to 20%. I also discovered that improvements were much needed as no patent application had been filed since 1963. I originally thought the mortality was because the chicks were getting too cold. I was wrong. It was more complex than that. Testing brought to light many issues I found in the currently used shipping containers. I addressed these by designing a raised false floor to provide a compartment for heat packs, a necessary feature in winter, eliminating excessive localized heat. This compartment can also hold cooling packs for warm conditions, and a round insert which prevents birds from being crushed in the corners. My series of testing resulted in no morbidity or mortality, a good sign. The production price of my new design for a 25-chick box is 89 cents per box, which is not more than the production cost of currently available boxes. This new design was welcomed by the local farmers and poultry experts who reviewed it. I now have a patent-pending design, and my boxes are production and market ready and meet international air transport standards. As well, these boxes have a wide range of potential customers. My design is ready to go, scalable, as it is designed for 25, 50, and 100 chicks. With trademark protection, a website, and initial production run complete, this has the opportunity to address an unmet need in an industry that often comes under pressure for animal welfare while economically benefiting farmers. The cost of loss in chicks, time and future earning capacity is significant.
Yes.
I'm wondering, why do you think no one has actually addressed this, this before? So you said you're addressing an unmet need, yet for a long time, the chicks have been shipped in a different method. So what is it that made you see this need? And why hasn't it been addressed in the industry before?
I just want to make sure I'm answering it. So you're asking why why I think this has never been addressed before for such a long time, and what made me think of it? Well, I live on a poultry farm, and I'd received these shipments of chicks, which is what made me think of it, because I was concerned with the high mortality and morbidity rates. The most recent patent pending design I could find was in 1963. I think one of the reasons this issue has not been addressed since 1963 is this design worked and was made a standard. And you could argue it's cheaper because it uses the least amount of cardboard to make this container. And for large hatcheries, it's a cheap idea. And I think people have just accepted the fact that these birds die. Oh, they're so young, less than 3 days old, they're being shipped. Mortality is just something you have to accept. I think it's just being made, everybody just accepted it in the industry, and nobody has, I think, just sincerely thought about changing it.
So Mac, is this a one-time use after the farmer receives it? Then do they dispose of it, or do they reuse it? Such as we use like shipping blankets and airbags when we're shipping beer, as do many other people across the country in North America, but we reuse all of them with partnerships between CP and CN. So is it a one-time, a one-way, or is it something that can be reused?
When I was looking at different materials, I ended up keeping with cardboard because this is a rule. You cannot reuse the boxes because at 3 days old, you don't know if the birds have any viruses or diseases that can be spread on, and they're going to poop when they're in the containers. And if you put other birds in it after and they're sick, those birds will get sick. So it's actually against the rules to reuse the containers, which is why cardboard is the most cost-effective.
Okay, great. I'm not a chick farmer, obviously. Great answer. No reusing.
Do you have any clients yet ready to use your product?
I have discussed with some hatcheries in Canada and other people who have shown interest. Nothing is finalized yet, though.
That's great. And the feedback you've been getting from them?
All the way through during this process, I was regularly going to local hatcheries and farmers and asking for their feedback. I actually started by going, do you find concerns with this container, or is it just me? And then they said yes, and I went, well, what is it that you think I should start with? Where do you think I should start? What's your concerns? And from there, I regularly contacted them and said, is this kind of following what you're thinking? Does this make sense to you? So yes, the feedback I have received is all good.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Mac, that's incredible. That's amazing. And it's so great that you actually brought a prototype in so that our judges can actually take a look firsthand. See, it's so incredible, especially like what motivates the kids. You're also noticing their stories as to why they came up with what innovation they have come up with. Now our next presenter, Nicholas Fredrigo. He is a grade 12 student from Saanich who is creating an innovative solution for spinal fusion treatments. Welcome, Nicholas, to the stage.
So about a year ago, my uncle fell off of a ladder and sustained a spinal injury. So as you may know, spinal injuries are very serious, however they can be treated through a spinal fusion. This is where screws are placed above and below the affected vertebra in the spine and then are connected using metal supporting rods to stabilize it. However, before those screws can be placed, the surgeon has to create the holes with a large awl-like tool referred to as a pedicle probe, which he presses into the patient's spine. And because of that, and it's rudimentary and not being very accurate, we see nearly 1 in every 3 patients who undergo this surgery result in very poor outcomes, such as life-threatening infections or even paralysis. So when I figured this statistic out and I knew my uncle had to undergo a surgery, I kind of looked into it further and looked at what I could do. So I decided to redesign that rudimentary tool, the pedicle probe, to provide tactile and visual feedback directly to the surgeon and prevent those complications from occurring. This is based on vertebrae and how there are 2 types of bone that it consists of, cortical bone and cancellous bone. Cortical bone surrounds the spinal cord as well as the exterior of the vertebrae, and that is what you want to avoid. So I achieved this through monitoring force with my redesigned probe, and this provides feedback directly to the surgeon with a LED and a sensor and vibration motor. And you can actually see my prototype right next to you guys on that table. So I tested this on lamb vertebrae, which is about the closest thing I could get to humans without taking illegally sourced monkeys or something like that. And it's also extremely accurate and precise. Currently, the leading technology in this field is actually fluoroscopy-assisted surgery, which is a high form of ionizing radiation. However, the breach rate is still as high as 23%, and it exposes large doses of ionizing radiation to the surgeon while also being very costly, while my approach costs less than $50 to manufacture. I conducted patent searches on what is currently out there, and I determined that my probe is completely unique in the sense of providing that feedback to the surgeon through force threshold values, and it is also unique in providing personalized surgeries directly to the patients, so that would allow those with osteoporosis to undergo the surgery, while they once could not because it's not a standard procedure, and the surgeons would actually just open them up and pour liquid cement over the fractures instead. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope to make spinal fusion safer for both the patient and the surgeon.
Great. Thank you so much for your presentation. With medical devices like this that are used, there are a lot of processes and rules that one has to get through, regulations one has to get through. And I'm just wondering if you've thought about how you might be able to actually take this and move it along so that it could actually be used in humans.
Definitely, yeah. So I spent the summer at York University studying tech entrepreneurship, and basically we were partnered with people in business, and we worked towards getting a foundation, learning what we need to do to develop our projects into actual products in the market. And yeah, I learned that there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through, except if you can argue that the device you're implementing is exactly the same as something that is currently on the market with an added feature, then you can kind of bypass a lot of the steps, and that is something that my probe does incorporate. And also, Youth Science Canada offered to help me bring this to market.
So just as follow-up, where are you at in terms of trying to bring it to market then?
So right now, I'm near the end development phase. That is a completely functional prototype, and also I'm at the stage of surveying surgeons and seeing if they would adopt it, and then York University and Youth Science Canada would cover patent fees and help me bring it to market with the initial steps.
That's great. Did you have a question?
I just have a question. Very impressive. Sometimes with medical images, particularly if it's imaging or probing, there is sometimes an industrial application with the technology. As you've been exploring this, and if you're looking at, I'm not sure how you tested, what materials you tested to simulate bone, have you come across any potential industrial applications with a similar kind of technology?
Like aside from the medical field?
Yeah.
Yes. So I have looked into it, and I did determine that there is actually an application for this in checking if telephone poles are still need to be replaced because they eventually rot in the middle. So you could actually test to see in advance if the telephone pole is still safe and if it will need to be replaced based on this monitoring density of the probe.
Great. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. That's great. All right, we're definitely seeing that. We've got 3 so far. We've got 2 more presentations to come. So take your own notes and see which one you would give the $5,000 to, because you can have a little bit of influence on the judges, maybe a little bit to show your excitement. Next, we're going to get ready for Ray. Ray is an undergraduate student from UBC who is creating an innovative solution for cost-effective and sustainable 3D printing. Let's welcome Ray to the stage.
So what do you think consumes more plastic? A single 3D printer or Starbucks with their plastic straws? Let's crunch the numbers. Turns out, one single 3D printer consumes the equivalent of 5,142 plastic straws in a single day. And that's equivalent to 10 1/4 Starbucks stores with plastic. And when you got 5 of these machines prototyping, it adds up to a lot of plastic. The second problem is that 3D printing isn't very strong, as you can see. So what is the solution? The solution is solvent polymer deposition 3D printing. This is a 3D printing process that uses a carbon fiber composite that's been dissolved into a liquid using a solvent. This is then extruded out directly through a special extruder like this into a directly 3D print part like this, or it can be combined in a hybrid process with traditional 3D printing to fill the inside of a traditionally 3D printed shell. This material is fully recyclable and can be reprinted over and over and over again. Not only that, the chemical bonding in between each individual layer and the internal structure that resembles bone, one of the strongest materials found in nature, makes this material 7 times stronger than conventionally 3D printed ABS plastic. 3D printing is the future. So let's make it sustainable and let's make it practical. This is my reality revolution solution. Thank you.
That's great. Great job, Ray. Talk to us about the cost.
So the cost is actually, this is actually one of the cheapest ways.
Closer to the mic.
This is actually one of the cheapest ways to manufacture carbon fiber parts. The cost associated with producing carbon fiber parts is actually the process of wrapping layers and layers of carbon fiber around your mold. This is a way of 3D printing carbon fiber directly, and when it comes out of the extruder, something actually really cool happens that I didn't know about before. The individual strands of carbon fiber actually align naturally to form into a single direction, and it gives the parts like the strength close to what you get with real carbon fiber manufacturing. And also, the cost of this is actually, the cost of this material compared to traditional 3D printing is actually $5 a kilogram for this material, as opposed to $25 for just your normal plastics. Oh, wow. And it comes down to the whole extrusion process. And that's basically when you have a 3D printer, it takes something called filament. And filament has to be controlled at a very precise diameter. That means this plastic has to be extruded through a hole, pulled at very constant speed, measured through multiple laser beams to actually measure that diameter. This process, because it's a liquid, you don't really care. As long as you get the mixing ratios right, you dump your whole batch of like ABS pellets in there, mix it with your solvent, mix it with your carbon fiber, and you're set to go.
Great, great. Have you done any patents? You know?
So in terms of patents, I actually don't believe that it's right for me to patent this. Okay. And that comes down to the fact that I wouldn't be here today if somebody in the 3D printing community had put a patent before. 3D printing is built upon being open source, and that's one of the reasons why I've not decided to patent this, and in fact shared it with everyone else. And if anyone in this room wants to pick up on this and make it better, go ahead. Because why would I prevent a technology? Why would I prevent somebody else from taking technology that will make the planet a better place?
Incredible.
So I'm interested in what the next steps might be for you in terms of trying to bring this to market.
So right now, I actually run my own 3D printing business, and I'm testing this, even though some of them might not know about it. I'm actually testing this on my current customers. Sometimes I have clients come to me and they're like, you know, I need a part for engineering, and I want it to be strong, and I want it light, and also, can you make it cheap? Like to a point where I'm not even actually paying myself. And that's a typical thing with clients. They want it for free, pretty much. So I'm just like, okay, maybe this is a good chance for me to test it on a new client. So I'm using the second hybrid process where I print the outer shell using conventional process to give it that resolution. As you can see, the layer lines on this directly printed piece are a bit thick. But with the hybrid process, you can get the same strength without the material and with the strength of this part. That's currently testing it on clients that might not really know about it yet.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think you might have to go to Manjit's price negotiation
class.
Yeah, so in terms of like me actually turning this into a real thing, right now I'm still in school. And in fact, Manjit, if you can offer me something to convince my mom, down there to let me drop out of school, I'd be happy.
That I will never do.
No.
But
That's great.
But congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great product.
Thanks.
Ray, that's great. I'm going to give you a couple extra seconds to clean up because I think that I don't know if we have like a cleaning crew to do all that. So that's it. We've already got 4 so far. We've got 1 more presentation. And remember, I hope you're taking notes or keeping a mental note as well, because as we get closer, the finalist, the winner, is going to get $5,000 that our judges are actually going to decide on. No, we're just going to leave the rest, I guess. Next, we'd like to have our final presenter, Natasha, grade 12 student from Samiamu, who is creating an innovative solution for a 100% solar electric vehicle. Let's welcome Natasha to the stage.
Good afternoon. I have designed, created, and tested a 100% solar electric vehicle that can run indefinitely during sunny daylight hours. This means that there is never a need to recharge or refuel because it is continuously generating from the power of the sun. Okay. So anyway, I will continue. And ultimately, what brought me to create my project is there are 2 compounding trends. And the first is the exponential decrease in module prices over the past few decades. And the second is the slow but steady increase in module efficiencies. So, yeah. So if we look at this video right here, we can see as it is moving down my local street, there are 450 watts of solar modules, which contribute to fulfill the demands of the 500-watt motor. Moving on, it travels at a speed of around 25 kilometers an hour due to the weight of the vehicle and whatnot. Additionally, at full charge, there are 3 12-volt lead-acid batteries, and this allows it to ride for over an hour and a half, even when not in the sun. And this is, of course, convenient for times of shade and during night travel. So there's also a linear actuator I installed, and this allows for the tilt of the solar modules when riding, maximizing the efficiency depending on what time of day or what time of year and whatnot. So, and lastly, the regenerative braking feature captures energy that would otherwise be wasted as heat and essentially reuses this energy. And so ultimately, the emission reduction, reduced operating costs, and fuel cost savings of my project show that we are now at a point where this can not only be applied on a small scale to bikes, but has potential for trains and boats and anything with large, expansive areas of surface area. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Please, do you have any questions?
Right. You want to go?
Yeah, talk about the performance of it in the cold.
Oh, in the cold. Well, I actually completed the bike in February of 2018. And February is not the most ideally warm time in Vancouver, as you can imagine. However, so when I was performing my trials, it was actually during a very cold season, and it did perform. As provided that it was during sunny periods, it continued to function very well.
That's great. I'm curious as to who built the bicycle. Did you do all of that work yourself? Yeah.
Yes.
So what was the biggest challenge in terms of trying to put this idea together?
I think, yeah, the biggest challenge was ultimately taking all of these components and this vision, all of these ideas I had, and actually not only taking the academics behind it and then merging it into a physical thing. So, such as doing the actual the electricity behind it and connecting it, the wiring. There are all these components that I didn't necessarily foresee in the beginning as being quite a challenge, but definitely served to be.
That's great.
I'm just curious, you know, in places in the world where it's sunny all of the time, in a lot of different countries where they don't have electricity, I would imagine that you are very aware of all of the different solar-powered solutions that are happening globally.
Yeah.
Can you speak to me a little bit about how is yours different or similar, or do you see applications of what you have invented here to solve some of the problems in other parts of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think definitely one of the amazing things about this innovation is the broad applicability. So in terms of what's currently being done and how this differs from it, it comes down to the fact that this can run indefinitely without, so the idea is as the battery is draining, it's being replenished at the same rate when it's sunny out, meaning you don't even have to wait to use it because it's already charged. Additionally, how this can be, to answer the second part of your question on kind of this applicability in the world, a lot of places in a lot of warmer climates, not everybody can even afford to have a car per person, or even it's densely populated, and daytime traffic is very heavy. So I think having alternatives that are eco-friendly and also more cost-effective, just requiring fewer materials to build than a car or a bus or whatnot, is really enlightening. Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Natasha. All right, great work, Natasha. All right, so that's it. We've met with our 5 innovators. We've seen their pitches. Judges, this is crunch time. We've got 5 minutes on the clock, and we're going to have you start to deliberate. Now, we're going to go ahead and tally up your scores, and we're going to find out who the winner is. The winner is going to be getting $5,000. We do have a timer going, so if we can encourage you guys to stay in your seats if you'd like. There's water over there, and there's coffee just outside the doors, but we'll be back in 5 minutes short. I do suggest you kind of just stay in your seats because it'll be quick. But how are you guys feeling? You guys nervous, excited, anxious, ready, tired? I mean, with the time change, you can admit everyone's a little bit groggy, but just give us a few more minutes. They're going to start doing that, and we'll have your results coming up. Look at that, guys. Right on time, 5 minutes. How are you guys feeling? Well, you guys aren't as nervous as these guys right here. Once again, I want to say a big thank you to Natasha, Ray, Mac, Nicholas, Alea. Thank you so much for, I know it takes a lot of work. I mean, you got to keep in mind, what they did on stage here is just a small part of the blood, sweat, and tears that they really put into all of their creations. So we want to definitely, come on, we can do louder than that, guys. They put a lot of work into this, you know. And now we're getting ready to give away the $5,000 courtesy of IBM, and I'd like to welcome right now on the stage Beth Bell from IBM to announce the winner and present the check.
Thank you. Thanks. I just wanted to offer my personal thanks. I want you to know that prior to today, if I could find your submissions online, I read them, and I'm really not worthy of the intelligence and the promise that all 5 of you have for the next generation of science and technology. Like, just fantastic. So sponsoring and supporting youth in Canada is one of the 3 things IBMers wake up every morning to do. When we're not helping our clients power their businesses on the cloud and become cognitive-driven enterprises, we're working with our ecosystem partners, supporting entrepreneurs and helping them bring their products to market. And then when we're not doing that, we're focused on youth in our community. And so this is just a perfect match for us. There is one winner today, and it was a very hard decision for the judges, very hard decision. But I'm pleased to announce that the winner of the $5,000 prize is Ray Liu.
Congratulations.
Well done. And now we don't want anyone to go anywhere just yet because we do have a surprise from our friends at Rogers. Nyla Ahmed from Rogers, please come to the stage.
There you go.
Okay, I don't know if you can, oh, you can hear me actually, my mic is on. So on behalf of Rogers, we're really proud to be part of this today and to actually support Innovate BC that is working to encourage youth, just as all of you are here, to look at technology and harness technology to really make the world a better place. And in our organization, founded by Ted Rogers, who many of you are probably too young here to remember, was a man very similar to each of you. He was very entrepreneurial, he was very curious, he had a lot of grit, he had a lot of energy, perseverance, a lot of moxie, and he just kept at his vision over and over and over again. And he had a tremendous success, but he also had a lot of setbacks. But what was really amazing about Ted Rogers, and I think is very much what our company is all about, is that he kept persisting and he didn't give up. And so it's in the spirit of that that I'd like to announce that we are offering the 4 runners-up a Ted Rogers Innovation Award of $1,000 to encourage you to keep going and to send a message that you're all winners here today. So congratulations to all of you. And we have a plaque for each of you in honor of this award. And I just want to say how impressive you all are and keep doing what you're doing. So if you like photos, you can. Don't have to, which is fine. I'm not offended. You are? Okay.
You can just make your way just to the front here.
Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you so much to everybody who did come today for this. It was such a remarkable experience. Congratulations to our winners and all of our creators here, Natasha, Ray, Mac, Nicholas, Alea, and also to our judges. Thank you so much, because your questions, your input, you left them with a lasting impression and something they can definitely think about when they take things a little bit further. So thank you so much to Manjeet, Nyla, to Beth and Joy. Thank you so much to everybody for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the BC Tech Summit. I'm Sonia Sadhu from 104.9 KISS Radio from Mornings with Kevin and Sonia. Thank you so much for being here, and enjoy the rest of the Tech Summit.